Welcome back to Nation of Glory, the channel that turns real lives into blockbuster movies you can't stop watching. Today we're stepping into the wild, chaotic, beautiful world of a man who looks like he walked straight out of a rock concert and fights like he's got nothing to lose and everything to prove. This is the full, uncut, emotional ride of Joseph Ryan Robinson, the one and only Juice Robinson. From a small town kid in Illinois who was told he'd never make it, to becoming a global wrestling icon, a New Japan legend, a member of the Bullet Club Elite, and now riding high with the Bang Bang Gang in AEW, this story has heartbreak, redemption, brotherhood, love, and one of the craziest comebacks you'll ever hear. If you've ever been counted out, if anyone ever laughed at your dream, this one is for you. Grab something to drink, get comfortable, because once this starts, you're not gonna want to click away. Let's go back to the beginning, Joliet, Illinois, a blue-collar town about 40 miles outside Chicago. Born October 10, 1989, little Joe Robinson grew up in a family that loved wrestling the way some families love football on Sundays. His dad would pop in those old VHS tapes of Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, and the Rock and Roll Express, and Joe was glued to the screen. He wasn't the biggest kid, wasn't the strongest on the playground, but man, he had heart. By the time he was 10, he was building wrestling rings out of backyard trampolines and ropes made from garden hose. He'd grab the garden hose microphone and cut promos on imaginary opponents while the neighbors probably thought he was nuts. But inside that kid was a fire that refused to go out. High school came, and life tried to push him in a different direction. Football coaches told him he was too small for the line, too slow for running back. Teachers said wrestling was a waste of time, get a real job, Joe. Even some friends laughed when he said he wanted to do it for a living. But every time someone told him no, it just made the dream louder. At 18 he found a tiny wrestling school in Chicago run by a grizzled old veteran who'd worked the territories back in the day. Joe showed up with $20 in his pocket and a duffel bag full of hope. First night of training he got stretchered so bad he threw up in the parking lot. Most people would have quit right there. Joe came back the next day smiling, asking for more. He started working indie shows for gas money and hot dogs, driving 6 hours each way in a beat-up Honda Civic that smelled like sweat and dreams. He wrestled in armories, high school gyms, fairgrounds where the ring was set up next to the cow barn. He took bookings under names nobody remembers now, sometimes making $30, sometimes nothing at all. He slept in that Civic more nights than he wants to count, waking up with frost on the windows in winter, eating peanut butter straight from the jar just to keep going. There were moments, dark 3 a.m. moments on some empty highway, when he asked himself, is this insane? Am I throwing my life away? But then he'd remember the feeling of that first roar from a crowd, even if it was only 50 people, and he'd keep driving. In 2011 everything changed. He got accepted into the Noah Wrestling Academy, the feeder system for WWE's developmental territory. Finally, someone big believed in him. They gave him a new name, C.J. Parker, and a gimmick as an eco-warrior hippie. For a kid from Joliet, it felt weird, but he was on WWE television. He was in NXT with guys like Seth Rollins, Big E, and Roman Reigns. He main evented NXT house shows, he got to travel, he thought he'd made it. But behind the scenes something wasn't right. Creative had no plans for him. He'd get 2-minute matches, lose clean, and go weeks without being on TV. The dream started tasting bitter. He watched friends get called up while he stayed stuck. And then the worst thing happened. He started believing the people who said he wasn't good enough. By 2015 he hit the lowest point of his career. He asked for his release from WWE. Walking out of that performance center for the last time, he felt like a failure. 25 years old, no plan B, no college degree, just a suitcase full of ring gear and a heart that felt cracked in half. He flew home to Illinois and didn't leave his parents' house for weeks. He gained weight, he stopped answering calls, he thought about quitting wrestling forever. One night his mom found him sitting on the back porch staring at nothing. She didn't say much, just put her arm around him and said, "Baby, the story isn't over. Sometimes the hero has to lose everything to become who he's really meant to be." Those words saved him. He decided to bet everything on one last shot, Japan. New Japan Pro Wrestling was exploding, and they were looking for hungry foreigners. Juice flew to Tokyo with $2,000 to his name and no return ticket. He walked into the NJPW dojo, bowed to the young lions, and said, "I'll do whatever it takes." And he meant it. He lived in the dojo, slept on the floor, trained until his body screamed, cleaned toilets, carried ring gear for veterans, all while learning a style that punishes the body like nothing else. Strong style isn't fake tough, it's real stiff forearms, real headbutts, real pain. Juice took it all and asked for seconds. Then 2017 happened. Finn Balor, the leader of Bullet Club, handpicked Juice to join the most famous faction in wrestling. Overnight, CJ Parker was dead. Juice Robinson was born, complete with long hair, bandana, and an attitude that said, "I've got nothing to lose." He started cutting promos that felt like rock anthems, swinging that left hand of God like it carried every doubt anyone ever had about him. He challenged Hiroshi Tanahashi, the greatest wrestler alive, for the Intercontinental title. Nobody gave him a chance. Juice took Tanahashi to the limit in epic battles that stole the show. Fans started chanting his name in Korakuen Hall, then in the Tokyo Dome. He became the first American to win the IWGP United States Championship not once, not twice, but 3 times. He main evented Madison Square Garden with Jon Moxley in a bloodbath that people still talk about. He found a family in Bullet Club, real brothers who had his back when the world once turned its back on him. And somewhere in the middle of all that chaos, he found love. He met Toni Toni Storm, in a Stardom NJPW crossover show. She was this glamorous, old Hollywood fireball, he was this loud, tattooed rockstar. Nobody thought it would work, but from the first night they talked until sunrise about wrestling, music, and never giving up. They fell hard. They supported each other through injuries, through bad bookings, through the loneliness of living out of suitcases on opposite sides of the planet. In 2022, in the middle of a global pandemic, they got married in a tiny ceremony with just their closest friends. Juice still says the proudest moment of his life wasn't holding gold in the Tokyo Dome, it was putting that ring on Tony's finger. Fast forward to 2023. Tony Khan came calling. AEW wanted Juice, and this time he walked in on his terms. He reunited with his best friend Jay White and formed the Bang Bang Gang with the Guns, one of the most entertaining, dangerous groups on television. He's cutting promos that make millions laugh and millions more respect the hell out of him. He's wrestling in front of 20,000 screaming fans every week, living the dream he almost threw away on that back porch in Joliet. But here's what gets me emotional every single time. Juice never forgot where he came from. He still answers every kid's DM who says they feel too small, too slow, too different. He tells them the same thing his mom told him, the story isn't over. He flies home to Illinois every chance he gets to coach at local indies for free, just to give back to the same kind of hungry kids he once was. He wears his heart on his sleeve, whether he's bleeding in the ring or tearing up talking about how proud he is of his wife. This man turned every, "you'll never make it," into a, "watch me." Right now, in 2025, Juice Robinson is 36 years old, in the best shape of his life, and still climbing. He's got gold around his waist more often than not, he's got the love of his life by his side, and he's got a locker room full of brothers who'd run through walls for him. From sleeping in a freezing car on the indie circuit to selling out arenas on 2 continents, from thinking his career was dead at 25 to becoming one of the most beloved wrestlers on the planet, that, my friends, is a Hollywood ending that's still writing new chapters. So the next time life knocks you down, the next time someone laughs at your dream, the next time you feel like the credits are about to roll, remember Juice Robinson. Remember the kid from Joliet who refused to let the story end. Because if he can go from rock bottom to rocking the world, so can you. Thank you for riding this emotional roller coaster with me here on Nation of Glory. If Juice's story hit you in the chest the way it hit me, smash that like button, drop a comment with your favorite Juice moment, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss another life-changing story, and share this video with someone who needs to hear that it's not over. Until next time, keep swinging that left hand of God at whatever's trying to hold you back. This is Nation of Glory, and we out. Peace.